Hey folks, welcome back to Chris Wyatt Africa. On a day in which South Africa's Constitutional Court chose to uphold the rule of law and obey South Africa's constitution by denying the request from the Independent Electoral Commission to allow it to delay the elections beyond the constitutionally mandated period of 5 years and 90 days, 5 years and 3 months. On a day that this happened, the 3rd of September 2021, South Africa's parliament, under the Angry Naughty Children, also known as the African National Congress, have shown their disdain for the rule of law by moving forward with an idiotic measure to amend the Constitution. A bill that is dead on arrival, but nonetheless the ANC has pursued it. The Ad Hoc Committee on Section 25 adopted a bill today to allow expropriation without compensation. The bill will allow for zero compensation to be paid and for some land to be placed in state custodianship. Because we've seen such a brilliant job that the African National Congress has done with its custodianship of land over the past 2.5 decades. Not. They've done an abysmal job handing land over to people. Yes, well, the bill will now be put before the National Assembly for adoption, but the chances of it getting passed are virtually zero. The African National Congress lacks the two-thirds majority to enact a constitutional amendment. The economic freedom fighters have announced their disdain for the ANC's position on expropriation because it doesn't go far enough as far as the EFF is concerned. And the only other party that could combine with the ANC to give it the majority necessary is the Democratic Alliance, and they are flat out opposed to this moronic piece of legislation. The bill would allow where land and any improvements thereupon are expropriated for purposes of land reform, the amount of compensation would be nil. Zero. So this is once again an effort by deep statists and by socialists to steal from the common man. The bill states that land is the common heritage of all citizens that the state must safeguard for future generations. No, it's not. It's not the responsibility of the state to safeguard land. It's the responsibility of the landowners. The state must take reasonable legislative and other measures within its available resources to foster conditions which enable state custodianship of certain land in order for citizens to gain access to land on an equitable basis. Nonsense. Gobbledygook. That's not the role of the state. Not the role of the state at all. And this was called by the committee chairperson, Matole Mocheka, from the African National Congress, of course, a historic day. Yes, in stupidity and foolishness and state love by the ANC. That's why it's historic. He said, we've carefully listened to the people of this country and have adopted a bill that will be to the benefit of all South Africans, irrespective of color. And I call bullshit. That's total nonsense. It won't be to the benefit of any South Africans. This bill, should it somehow magically ever become an amendment to the Constitution, would ensure that the state will oppress all South Africans because expropriation without compensation is about oppressing political opposition. That's the purpose of it. It is the threat of taking your retirement funds, your property, your vehicles, your jewelry, your home, your furniture, your farm, your apartment, your condo, your house, whatever you own. The state can take it without justification under such moronic legislation. The mere fact that this bill now goes to Parliament should automatically disqualify South Africa from the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act. The United States should immediately suspend favored trade status to a country that abrogates the rule of law. It's quite simple. In opposition, the Democratic Alliance Member of Parliament, Annelie Lotriet, had the following to say: this is just a political theater for warring ANC factions and the radical fantasies of the EFF. In their hurried attempt to pursue expropriation of land without compensation and nationalization of land, the two parties exposed their disdain for the Constitution and inalienable property rights of all South Africans. Well, I agree 100%. She's a brilliant member of Parliament. Couldn't have said it any more succinctly. This is complete disdain for the rule of law and for property rights. These are human rights. And the African National Congress is part and party to the Human Rights Declaration. She says, if anything, the vote in committee today was a culmination of 3 wasted years in which Parliament was made to process a bill where alarms have been raised about its grave impact on the economy, the rule of law, and food security. And the ANC knew all of these dangers, she said. Well, as she mentions, the ANC's lost its erstwhile allies, the EFF, who've backed out of this ludicrous bill. This is a sham, and this is a complete waste of South Africans' time. However, expropriation without compensation still has life breathed into it until this thing dies in Parliament. What a complete and utter waste of resources and time for a country suffering from mismanagement during the pandemic, from economic sabotage by the ruling National Party, and by race-based legislation that destroys the will, the desire, and the economic progress of all South Africans. In the midst of all that, the ANC finds time to waste with an expropriation without compensation bill meant to cow political opposition. Well, folks, on a day in which the Constitutional Court upheld the rule of law and the Constitution, the African National Congress seeks once again to undermine and denigrate the Constitution of South Africa and people's rights. Can you believe it? What a bunch of angry, naughty children they are indeed. Hey, folks, if you're not a subscriber to Chris Wyatt Africa, why not become one? Smash that button right down there. Be sure to give us a like on the video. We appreciate your support here on Chris Wyatt Africa, where we bring you independent analysis, objective analysis. No dog in the fight. No South Africans here. Simply telling you how it is. Take care, folks.